the Shat Happens podcast.
Let's talk some Shat.
Yeah, it was weird, man. I went up to Baltimore. So I love Baltimore, you know, like I do. You know, I mean, I was born in DC. You know, we grew up in like the Silver Spring, Burtonsville area, so DC was always like the home city to us. It was never Baltimore.
Right.
But then when I started going up to Baltimore, and I lived in Baltimore for 15 years, right? So it's like, and in Baltimore, man, like that's where I got probably my most valuable professional experience. You know, that's where I met, with the exception of, you and, Blake and, whoever else, but like that's where I met the vast majority of like my closest lifelong friends now, Of
course.
It's where I met my wife.
Yep.
It's like Baltimore was a big part of me growing up, and I love it. But it's wild, man. It's like now that like you're kind of removed from it, like you always know that like Baltimore's a rough city and it kind of comes with the territory, right?
For sure.
But it's like, man, it's like starting to just get so out of control that like at what point in time does it not even make sense to go there anymore? And it's like I was in Fells Point, I don't know, a few months ago, and I'm driving home, and I live in Annapolis, and I'm driving down Boston Street, and this is Canton, right? Like Canton is like one of the nicest areas in Baltimore. And I stop at the 7-Eleven right on Boston Street.
I know exactly where it's at.
Yeah, and then I there's one, it's my truck, and there's one other car in the parking lot. And then I go up to the double doors of the 7-Eleven, and I try to open one set, it's locked, right? So I'm like, that's weird. So I go over to the other set, open it, it's locked. But I can see in the store, and there are 3 dudes in there robbing it.
Wow.
Right? So I'm like, oh my God, that's crazy.
Holy shit.
So I go back to my truck. I get in my truck, and I call 911. And I take my truck, and I drive it, and I park it. So the car that, the robbers are driving, I'm blocking them in their spot, right? And I call 911, and then I realize, I'm like, why am I blocking them? What am I gonna do? I'm just setting myself up to be a victim here. So I continue to talk to 911, but then I move my car far away from there because I'm like, I'm not gonna be some hero to like save 7.
They come running out. Hey man, can you beat the car?
Hey, I got your butterfingers back. So, but I call 911 and they answer and they're like, what's your emergency? And I said, well, I'm at the 7-Eleven in Canton, and it's currently being robbed. And they're like, well, what's the address? And I said, I don't know. It's the 7-Eleven on Boston Street in Canton. And they were like, sir, we need the address. And I said, I don't know the address, but it's the 7-Eleven right across from the Target, right on Boston Street, the only 7-Eleven in Canton.
Exactly.
And they hung up on me. That's wild, dude.
Wow.
So then,
I mean, par for the course.
Then I went to the Rural Farms, got myself some fried chicken.
Got the fuck out of town.
That's so good. I'm surprised I could even make it home with all that chicken remnants on my steering wheel.
I tell you, man, it's insane. I mean, obviously,